Hey guys, TRScientist here, and today I am back for day number 3 of r/nuclear revenge. And yes, I have changed up some more stuff with the Reddit stuff. I do have it on night mode now, but I don't want to be focusing on that. I want to focus on these two stories. I managed to find two that didn't have to do with rap. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the previous 2 episodes. But I managed to find stuff that doesn't have to do with sexual relations. Although one of them actually does, and it's not really the sexual relations I'm talking about. Let's just get into it. I didn't give my twin brother my kidney because he had an affair with my girlfriend and then outed me as bisexual. I was told to post my story here and figured this was my revenge. The cast, fake names for obvious reasons: me, Ryan, brother, Sebastian, mum, dad, sister, Jane, best friend, Isaac, cousin, Kai, backstabbing cow, girlfriend, husband, Daniel. Oh my gosh. I gotta appreciate how you just backstabbing cow, girlfriend, right off the bat. I, Ryan, and my twin brother, Sebastian, had never been close. In fact, he made life hell growing up. My parents didn't help by playing favourites, getting him better stuff on our birthday, only going to see films he liked at the cinema, and giving him extra money for housework despite doing the same amount of work. He would always put me down, belittle me, bully me with his friends at school, break my stuff, and then blame me, and was just a pain in general. Growing up, the only people I knew to rely on was my older sister, Jane, my cousin, Kai, and best friend, Isaac, who all knew what an awful person my brother was. Anyways, cut to when I was 17 and I had my first girlfriend, someone I loved very much. We didn't have sex because she wanted to wait till her 18th birthday to lose her virginity. But it turns out that she was having an affair with my brother behind my back for half the time we were together, and only got caught when it was revealed she was pregnant. I was crushed. She knew how much I hated my brother, and she saw some of the awful things he did to me, but she still went and did that. Cheating is bad enough, but to do it with him of all people. I punched him in the face and broke his nose and made him lose a tooth. But according to my parents, I'm the one in the wrong. And now we have to help this girl who is carrying my brother's child and have to support them. My brother then said he had no intention of being a father and told my girlfriend to get an abortion. She then ran out of town and I never saw her again. Don't know if she had the baby or aborted. All I know was that she was gone. My folks were still praising my brother as the golden child. I was still the black sheep and failure as usual. Another year goes past and me and my brother still despise each other, but I had started dating again. Was a long while, but I found someone. I found a boy I like. I am bisexual, and this new guy, Daniel, I had met at college, caught my eye. He was deaf, and I studied sign language out of boredom, so he could talk. So we got talking, and so things just seemed to click. We date, fall in love, bring him to my friend Isaac's party to introduce him to friends, and it all feels great. At this point, the only one who knew I was bi was Isaac, but one day, walking into a cinema, holding my boyfriend's hand, I bump into my evil twin. He points, laughs, and says some homophobic remarks. I tell him to go fuck himself, and I go to see a movie with my arm around my boyfriend. When I got home after dropping my boyfriend home, I knew I'd be facing something as I walked through the front door. I saw both my parents on the sofa, my mother crying about how on earth could she have given birth to someone so disgusting. Was it too much to hope she saw the light and was talking about my brother? But nope, she was talking about me and how I'm a stain on my family's name. My father gets up to yell at me, spout homophobic remarks and slurs. At this point, I see my brother up the staircase with a shit-eating grin on his face. He then comes down and says he's uncomfortable with sharing a room with a faggot, and my folks kick me out there and then. With what little clothes and money I had, I went to Isaac's house, and his family took me in, where I stayed for 6 months, actually experiencing familial love and affection, and Isaac's mother and stepdad I consider my own parents now. Eventually, me, Daniel, and Isaac all get a 2-bedroom flat together, and all is good for the time being. So, cut to December last year. Me and my boyfriend, now husband, Daniel, are married. Isaac was my best man. My sister and cousin Kai walked me down the aisle. I have a brilliant job in graphic design. Have my own house by the sea, and life has never been better. However, I got a call from my sister that my brother was in hospital. I haven't thought about him that much over the 9-year period since I was kicked out, but being reminded of his existence brought up a lot of painful memories for me. I was told by my sister that Sebastian wanted to see me and that it was urgent, so I went to the hospital he was in and met my sister outside the front entrance. I asked her what this is all about, but she doesn't tell me, and that I need to ask my twin. So I arrived to where my brother is, who have my parents at his side, and my folks actually look happy to see me, as if what they did to me hadn't happened, and Sebastian also looked really pleased to see me. It's safe to say something was off. Eventually I asked what's going on, and why was I even here, to which my brother tells the family to leave us two alone. He looked so weak, as before he used to intimidate me so much. He told me that he was dying from kidney failure, and has been for the last few years, but now he didn't have long left. I knew immediately where this was going. He then always regretted that we never got along, at which point I told him no. He looked confused and asked what I was going on about, so I simply told him I wasn't going to donate my kidney to save him. He looked as if I had just shit in his food. He then went on about how bad the situation was, and he was really sorry for all the things we did to each other growing up. Like, excuse me, we did to each other? I told him that I just wanted a brother growing up that cared and loved for me, who wouldn't try and break me every day for 18 years. He then called in our mum and dad and told them that I wasn't going to give up my kidney, and then started to spout off that I owed them for my existence, and that I have a duty to look after family. I asked them where that duty was when they kicked me out of the house, or where that duty was every time my brother gave me a black eye, or their duty was to look after their grandchild when Sebastian decided he didn't want to be a father. I said for all the things he's done, from outing me to having an affair with my girlfriend and abandoning his child, that this was the universe's and my way of finally giving back what he dished out to bite him in the ass. I then turned around and walked out of the room, having that be the last time I ever saw Sebastian again. I'm not sure why they'd want a faggot's kidney anyway. I walked past my sister, who gave me a look. I gave her a look back, who then in turn gave me a look that said, I understand. After leaving the hospital, I felt as if a great weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I went home and never looked back, pleased with my decision. Now, last week I got a call from my sister, calling to inform me that Sebastian had died. She asked if I was okay, and I said I was. They didn't really feel anything, in all honesty. She said she understood to a degree that as Sebastian had been all that kind to her over the years either. I had my husband and Isaac there to support me. Honestly, at this point, Isaac might as well be our adopted child, since he's living with us until this whole situation with the world is over. The next day, I was getting calls and texts from family members I hadn't spoken to in years, telling me that I was going to hell for being a bad son, being a bad brother, and for being a faggot, that me and my husband don't deserve children. Hubby and I have been looking into adoption and surrogacy. This makes me second guess my choice of not giving my brother my kidney. Even in death, he's making things harder for me. I did wonder if I was a bad person and if I made the wrong decision, but I knew that if I was in that position, I would have been left for dead. Screw him. Other bits of information that may clear things up. His renal failure was from living a hardcore lifestyle of drugs and alcohol. My folks and sister did get themselves tested to see if they're matches, and none of them were. I disowned them for being my family years ago, apart from Jane. So when I got married, I took my husband's last name and hyphened it with Isaac's last name, to which his folks were very pleased about. Some family, Kai's folks and my dad's brother, have actually called to see how I'm doing and say they don't judge me for what happened. Others, however, have continued with said abuse, whom I have now blocked. If he had been a good brother throughout my life, I'd have done it without a second thought. I'd have done the same for Jane, Kai, and Isaac, and my husband. But I felt he didn't deserve it. It's unlikely I'll ever see my parents again, and I'll make sure my children will never meet them. My revenge to them will be being a better parent than they ever were. TLDR, I didn't donate my kidney to my evil brother due to him being awful to me my whole life, having an affair with my girlfriend, and then outing me and convincing my family to disown me since I'm bisexual. I don't care if a person's bisexual, lesbian, gay, transgender. I would not pick on a person for being that way. And with that, I'm going to just move on to the next story. Nuclear feline revenge. Crazy entitled neighbor tries to bleach my sister's cat. Cat gets revenge. I count this as a nuclear revenge story, but not in the traditional sense. This happened many years ago. My older sister had this awful, bitchy neighbor who had a serious hard-on for sister's seal point Siamese cat. I'll call neighbor CN for crazy neighbor. Sister is sis. Me is self-explanatory. I hope you follow through on the joke of that and just call yourself self-explanatory throughout. CM was a black-haired, plump, 40-something divorcee who annoyed everyone in the neighborhood. She had zero understanding of boundaries and liked to come over to people's homes, barge in and snoop around, opening drawers and cabinets and touching their stuff. Once she even got into someone's fridge and grabbed herself a ginger ale, then got mad when the homeowner took it back. If you left your door, front or back, unlocked for more than 10 minutes, chances were she'd just come right in. She stole yard decorations from other people's yards and had been caught on more than one occasion pocketing something she snagged off a mantle or table of a house she's invaded, and she would always throw a tantrum when she got busted. Cops had been called on her many times, but she was good at being pathetic, so most people didn't press the charges. Unfortunately, this made her bolder. Basically, she was the entitled bitch of the neighborhood. Sis was, unfortunately, one of her favorite victims. She'd come over without calling, barge away in, and ask and demand to see Sis's cat, telling Sis how beautiful he was, and how much she wanted a cat just like him. Sis, rather than being non-confrontational, would let her see the cat, who didn't like the woman, then make her leave. CN never wanted to leave, and had to basically be pushed out the door. Oh, and she despised me because I wouldn't let her in when I answered the door, nor would I tolerate her BS. In any way, if she got past my sister. CN was so obsessed with the cat and offered to buy him many times. But Sis loved that cat. He had been the runt of the litter and rejected by his mum. My sister had taken him and bowl fed him, mothered him and saved his life. He wasn't a pet, he was her child. So sis, of course, said no. Always said no. This royally pissed off crazy neighbor. This one day the cat got out. He was an outdoor cat, so sis and I immediately started looking for him. We were checking the bushes and behind the flower pots in the backyard when we heard a very distinctive yell. One of pure rage, followed by a very human shriek of pain coming from Sian's house. Suddenly, the doggy door on Sian's back door slams open, and out runs my sister's cat, his tail and one rear paw covered in what smelled like hair bleach. I'm allergic to bleach, and I immediately recognized the smell as he passed me, dashing past us and into Sis's house. Next thing you know, Sian's back door slams open, out she comes, cursing like a blue streak. Ragged claw marks adorn her left cheek, and one of her hands had a deep bite wound that had completely saturated one of the gloves, the kind one gets with any hair coloring kit she was wearing and running down her hand and arm. Turns out when the cat had gone out, Sian had grabbed him, took him inside, and tried to use hair bleach to bleach the brown out of his tail and paws in order to change his appearance so she could keep him. What? Unfortunately for her, she didn't know shit about Siamese cats and just how violent they can be. They were originally temple guardians for a reason, lol. The moment Sian put that bleach on that cat's tail, he went absolutely berserk, letting out that yell of rage we heard, clawing up Sian's face and sinking his fangs deep into her hand. She pushed herself between the bushes, the ones that look like tall green paint brush heads Sis used to separate the property line and began yelling. No, not yelling, shrieking. She shrieked that Sis's cat had wandered into her kitchen while she was cooking, and when she tried to pick him up, he attacked her for no reason. Clearly, this was total BS. Sian then proceeded to call Sis the N-word several times. She's half black, and me an effing half-breed wetback slut. I'm half Hispanic. We have different dads. She screamed that my sis was stupid for keeping such a dangerous animal and that my sis would be paying for all her medical bills. She then got right in my sister's face, pushed my sister hard in the chest with her uninjured hand, saying she was calling animal control and intended to have that thing put down. Sian opened her mouth to shriek some more, but my sis, after hearing that last statement and without one word of warning, hauled off and decked her. She landed on her butt in the grass, now clutching her left eye. Sis then loudly suggested Sian go screw herself with a hot curling iron, and then ran inside to find her poor cat while I called the cops. I hope you go the sleepaway camp route with the hot curling iron. If you've seen Sleepaway Camp, you'll get my reference. The whole thing from start to end lasted only about 5 minutes. Sis found him hiding in the laundry room and quickly cleaned him off in the sink. Meanwhile, Sian is still on her ass in our backyard, howling like a banshee until the cops arrived. I told them what happened, and they later talked to my sister after she tended to a cat, who gave them the same story I did, even admitting to hitting Sian. In self-defense, of course. It didn't hurt her case that Sian had a bloody handprint on my sister's shirt when she shoved her. Of course, Sian of course told him something completely different. Her story was that she was about to bleach her hair when her sister's cat came in and attacked her. She also said Sis and I attacked her too. I apparently kicked her in the stomach after Sis punched her, but the cops found no evidence of bruising, and the scratches on her face kind of masked her swelling eye. I also think the cops turned a blind eye, pun intended, to it, considering the circumstances, but since there was a clear blood trail leading into Sian's open back door, cops felt they had a probable cause to go in. I think if Cian had been paying more attention, she'd have refused them entry. The blood trail led to a sink in the first floor bathroom. Blood, cat fur, a bleach applier, and the box it came in were all in the sink on the floor. The cat's collar was in the garbage. Cian tried to play the victim, but the cops didn't buy it. She got arrested and my sister pressed charges for theft and assault. Cian also got nabbed for possession of stolen goods. Cops found a bunch of CD players and DVD players still in their boxes, sitting on her coffee table and in the spare room next to her bathroom. And she had a bunch of prescription drug bowls with other people's names on them. And since she was a redditor, the property owner gave her the boot for breach of contract. She went to jail and had to pay for the cat's vet bill. He was okay, but a bit traumatized and had a yellow patch on his butt, paw, and tail for several months. Cian's hand got infected from the cat bite, and it turned out it had caused tendon and nerve damage as well. Moral of the story: stay out of people's houses and have the common sense not to mess with a cat named Lucifer. If that's the actual cat's name, that is actually the best name for a cat. I like the... Okay. I always just read the edit stuff and... Yeah. Don't mess with a cat named Lucifer. The devil himself will bite you in the form of a cat. I'm going to end this episode here. Links will be in the description to the main channel and also the second channel, of which you're on right now, with links to the playlist and the last episode. Go check them out. There's like 120 episodes or something like that at this point. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.